Hi, welcome to In the Can with Carmella Cann, Deluxe. Today we're going to be talking about dating on apps and the old-fashioned way. I have a very special guest, Miss Antonia Kasper, who's a dating coach, actress, and writer. Hey, Antonia.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
You know, so we've known each other a really long time.
We have.
Yes. And you've kind of become a dating coach in that period that all started from a creative project.
Yes. Yeah.
And I actually knew you during this project. So shall we start at the beginning?
Sure. So I was a woman of a certain age, kind of like I am now. And I decided, I want to get married and possibly have a child if I can. And my biological clock was ticking, and I decided to do online dating, and apps were just coming out then, to meet my Mr. Right. And so I didn't have a lot of luck for a year. I just thought they're all not my type, or they didn't like me. And so my sister said, well, just go out and meet people. Just try to meet even the ones that might have not a great profile or not the most fabulous photo. Just go meet as many people as possible, or at least get them on the phone and have a conversation, or now Zoom or whatever. So she dared me to meet 50 men in 90 days through online dating, and I did. I met people at Starbucks for 20-minute coffee dates.
Okay.
In search of my Mr. Right.
So you were interviewing them, I'm assuming, through these 20
I
minutes.
am. Well, I don't make it like an obvious interview, but it was great. Like at the beginning, I was, because the main thing is you want to get kind of off the device and into a meeting. Whether it's Zoom or on the app, or you want to at least get not through just like the texting or the written word. You want to actually connect somehow. And so but at the beginning I was meeting them at bars and restaurants, and immediately there might not have been an attraction. Like they may not have liked me. I could tell if they didn't like me, or if I wasn't attracted or I didn't really like them. They weren't my type.
Yeah.
So I decided to do the coffee dates because it was short, sweet, and
in a non-alcoholic
yes,
environment,
exactly.
too.
Like sometimes I would meet someone at a bar or a restaurant or a bar, and they would be, the barmaid might be cuter than me, and there's maybe the sport, in my show, and then I wrote a show about this, but like this in the sports bar, the sports are more interesting than me, and so, or you can't hear a conversation, because of the loud music and everything. So
why 50 people though? So
well,
where did this number come from?
Well, first, it was 100 men in 6 months. It was just so I could meet a lot of people and just get out there. That was the main thing. Like sometimes you have to see dating as a numbers game. I mean, and some people, they meet the love of their life on their first date, the first time they meet someone. I mean, or the first time they go out with someone on an app. Or
I've had 2 friends who got married through meeting someone on apps.
Yeah. But sometimes it's the first person you meet. Sometimes it might be the 50th person. You know what I mean? So for me, it took some time, But so anyway, so I started doing this online dating. And because I had such really bad dates and really met a lot of interesting people that obviously a lot of them weren't my type, I started writing about it as a book. And then I started reading the excerpts of the book. The book isn't out yet, because what happened is I was reading excerpts of the book out loud to people, and they said, oh, you should do this as a one-woman show. And I didn't even think about it as a one-woman show. So so I developed a one-woman show, and that's what you came and saw. And
this summer.
And then so what happened?
And the name of the show is?
45 Coffee Dates.
Okay.
In Search of My Soulmate Through Cyberspace and Beyond. It's my real life journey about how I met 50 men in 90 days through online dating over a cup of coffee at Starbucks because I wanted to get married and have a baby.
And the weird thing is actually when I saw your play, it was so deja vu because I was in your life during that period.
You were. And I kept telling
And you were actually
you,
trying to get me to do this.
I'm like,
and I
you
was
need
like,
to just meet people. Just go out there and meet as many people as possible.
Yeah,
in a safe way, in a
Yes.
safe environment. Yeah.
I was more into like, I wanted to meet someone just in my daily life, not like I felt like internet dating is like very forcing situation.
Right.
Or I'm old school. I don't know. Maybe a combination of both.
Well, I don't know if I should give away the ending, but I didn't meet my husband online or through an app. However, I have a lot of people came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you have all this experience. Can you help me?" And I learned so much about profiles, dating apps, kind of what to do on a date. But I also started giving workshops on getting out of your comfort zone, because even if you're not on an app, you need to like change your circles. Things like I would walk my dog around a different block over from the block I used to walk my dog, and I met like 2 of my boyfriends that way, just because I switched a block radius.
Okay.
So getting out of your comfort zone and things like that. Anyway, that's things I learned about, not just online, but other things I learned.
And you met your husband where exactly?
I met him at a health club. I'm also a massage therapist, and I took a job at New York Health and Racquet Club. This was a little while ago. On what was it, 57th and Lex or something.
Okay.
And in the Galleria, this place called the Galleria. Anyway, I took this job because I wanted to meet men, and I didn't want to meet men in the health club, and I didn't want to meet men that I was working on. I just didn't, I don't mix those things. I'm very professional. And but there were all these single straight men in the elevator and going to these corporations in the building, and I thought, this is great. I'm going to take this job just to meet my husband. And
Oh my God.
But I did, but he ended up being my boss. So it was
But it was kind of like an unexpected thing.
totally unexpected. But the dating apps and online, all of that really
Do you feel like it prepared you for that moment?
Definitely.
And like, what way did it prepare you? Like,
Well,
can you elaborate?
the first time I met someone through online, or now it's the apps, the first time I met somebody live, I was like, oh, this is going to be the one. I made myself up. I got all prepared. I put all these expectations, and I think that's what people do wrong, incorrectly, is they put all these expectations of, this is going to be the love of my life, or they fantasize about someone before they've even met them. So what happened was, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I forgot the question now.
No, that's okay. How did this prepare you for?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm like thinking about
your
all
husband.
I'm thinking about all those dates now. I'm like,
God knows you had a lot.
I had a lot of dates, coffee dates. No, because
I'm sure you must have been caffeinated.
Oh my gosh, decaf. Yeah, what happened was, because I met so many people, I learned not to get emotionally involved, because it was always, and I actually numbered them instead of like thinking of their names. It was like, okay, this is bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, which made it easier in a way, because I knew I just had to keep going, and I had a goal. I had a numbers goal.
Yeah.
So when I met my husband, I knew not to get emotionally attached right away. I believe in playing hard to get. In a heterosexual, well, even in a homosexual or relationship, there's always a kind of someone who pursues or may be dominant. Sometimes it goes back and forth, but I let the man pursue me, and I wasn't pursuing them. Which in different relationships, it would be the dominant person, or sometimes it goes back and forth in it, like a gay relationship. So, but you kind of have to figure that out. So I just learned how to act in front of guys. It's almost like you have to get a dating into a dating rhythm. It's almost like you have to kind of practice dating to get good at it. I know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, some people don't like dating for that very reason because it's like.
I know. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's like going to the gym, Like the more you run a few miles, the easier it's going to be. So, and you don't get emotionally attached. That's what I found because you just keep going. You just keep meeting as many people as possible.
So it helped you detach, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, in a healthy way, in a healthy way. And it helped me.
Did it help you compare different people to others?
Yes, that's another thing I knew more about when I was writing my profile. My three things at the beginning was like my priorities were like money, looks or something. I don't remember. It was like it was crazy, and my priorities totally changed.
So talk about that change.
Well, I went out with, I've dated in the past before looking for a husband. I've dated a lot of wealthy men.
Yeah.
And I realized it wasn't the most important thing to me. Some people it's the most important thing, which is fine. But for me, it changed. It changed from, this wealthy, smart, educated person or whatever to integrity, make me laugh.
Okay.
That like my priorities, it will be a great husband and possibly a father. So, but it was integrity, make me laugh, like
good person.
A good person. Uh-huh.
So like, I take that more as in standards, having standards. I think that, having quality standards is important.
Definitely.
And how someone treats you and being a good person, being authentic, all of those things.
Right.
So, in your journey, I guess, New York's a difficult place to date already.
It is.
Because, so that's like another element because you're dealing with people who are either very into their careers or, are coming to New York for different reasons. There's also not really, I feel like the grass is greener on the other side because there's so many people available, if that makes sense.
Yes, it's true. And that's what I found. I felt like men were always looking for the other woman, the next woman, the better woman, the younger woman, and, women do that too to men, the better man, the richer man, the better looking man, whatever. But really the whole app dating, all that stuff, that it really kind of helps you clarify what you want in somebody because you have to write it down. You have to put it out there.
So you kind of kept a journal of this?
I did. I mean, well, what happened was I was changing my profile because I realized my profile was attracting a certain person or certain people that maybe weren't right for me. So then sometimes you have to tweak your profile to attract a different crowd.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about profiles, photos, how to date too. And I read a lot of books, on dating, which really helped,
Yeah, I remember you kept bringing up this book, The Rules, to me.
I did the rules.
And you were like, oh, you have to follow. And I was like, I don't want to play games.
Yeah, but it's great. I love that book. I did the rule. I read the rules. I read, I don't know if I could curse on here, but it's Why Men Love Bitches. That's the title of the book. Women are for Venus, men are for Mars. I read all those books.
All those self-help dating books.
How to Get Married Over 35. I read all those books, which kind of helped. It actually did help me a lot,
Okay, how did it help you?
Well, I followed a lot of the advice that I read from these different books, and then I came up with my own things that I learned out in the field, like meeting these people for coffee. It kind of puts in perspective that you just have to you have to keep going, and if someone doesn't work out, don't take it personally, or you just have to. I did a numbers game. That's what I did. I had a goal of a number, so it helped me keep going and just keep meeting as many people as possible. It also some of the books taught me to get out of my circles of people. Like, people tend to have, I would say 4 or 5 different circles. like their neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
through their family, their school, where they work out, their job, religion, where they go to church or synagogue or whatever. So, but you're stuck in those circles, and you have to branch out into different circles. Even if it's through friends of those circles, it's
Mm-hmm.
good
Mm-hmm.
to get into a new circle. Like perhaps your friend that you work with is part of a hiking group, let's
Yeah.
say, and you
Well,
want
push
to,
yourself out there, I guess.
yeah, you put yourself out there.
How I would interpret that. And then you end up writing a play about these
All
45
these
coffee
men,
dates and
all
all these
these
men, and then starts to become a dating coach
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes.
So, like, now there's a lot of apps out there. I mean, you have Hinge, you have Tinder, you have Bumble, you have Grindr, you have
Okay, Cupid.
OkCupid, so many apps. And back then, did they I mean, we're going back a few years.
Yeah.
Do those apps charge a fee
Yeah,
to be on?
yeah,
Okay.
mhm.
Because now a lot of them have fees, too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you're paying, like, I did some, like, $35 or $30,
Yeah.
$40 a month.
29 to
Yeah.
49 a month, depending on what kind of, yeah.
So, and so what do you recommend on, like, if someone now wants to go on one of these apps to start dating, what do you recommend, like, in best practices to set up a profile? Like, what do you think are some key things that are
The
important?
key things is your first photo should be just basically kind of a headshot, but not a headshot if you're an actor. Like, you don't want to be, that's what I learned, that you don't put because I'm an actress. At first I was putting up my headshot, and they don't want the glam. I mean, not so much the glam, but like an actor shot or a model shot. Just like a casual, photo of you. I would say, just your face, straight on. No sunglasses or hats, because I don't understand why people still do that. People want to see your eyes. They want to see your hair. Whether you have hair or not doesn't matter. Just no hats, no sunglasses. And, if you're smiling, people like to see you smile.
Yeah.
That should be your first picture. Your second picture should be of your body type without nudity, or something.
So, no, like, don't wear a shirt type of deal.
Yeah, you can wear. I would wear a shirt. You mean for?
No. Like, let's say a man who, like, is at the beach and, is, in shorts, for instance.
Yeah, I mean that.
Do you think
That's okay. It depends. It depends also on what app you're on.
Okay.
So I would say just something that shows off your body without necessarily any clothes off at all.
Okay.
Like you're at a party, or you're in a kind of a tight shirt, or for women, maybe your legs are your best feature, so you have a short skirt on, but nothing where you're showing a lot of flesh or skin, because that, unless you want to hook up, that says something. It just says something.
It's a different
totally-
message.
It's a different message. If you want a relationship, you have to kind of rein it all in,
Yeah.
a little bit.
No,
But they still want to see your type. They want to see your body type. They want to see if you have muscles, or if you're a curvy girl, or if you're a super thin girl, because men like different things in women and in men,
Well, I don't know if it's they like different. I think it's also like figuring out, like, what does this person, like, look like, and authentically, like, I remember a friend of mine. He met his husband through an app as well, and he was showing me some of the people he was going through, when, like, some of them had, like, their shirts off, or, like, were in, like, Speedos, and, like, they're, like, saying they're looking for a relationship. This kind of contradicts
Exactly.
the type of
That's exactly
the
right.
messaging just doesn't correlate with the bio, so to
Right.
speak.
I've had clients that I've coached that is women too, that they're showing way too much cleavage, and they don't know why they're getting bombarded with all of these perverts, or these guys saying
Yeah.
things that aren't respectful or whatever. So I'm like, well, you got to change your picture, because it sends a different message, definitely.
So, not that I want to get into politics, but I'm going to bring up a question. So, like, today, people even on their app say, like, I don't want no Republicans or no Democrats, or, like, do you think that should be part of your app, or not bringing up your political leanings, or?
Right. This is what I tell my clients. your priorities it's up to you. Like if it's really a deal breaker, whether that person's a Republican or a Democrat, then that should be in there. If it's a deal breaker.
Okay.
You know, like for instance, I had a couple of clients, like it was a deal breaker if they weren't Jewish, you know, or they weren't,
Okay.
you know, sometimes it's even height.
So if it's
or
important to
something.
you, you should include it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But saying that, like I know 3 different couples where there's one's a Republican and one's a Democrat, but they're not so politically charged that it doesn't matter. They just vote their own way, but they get along great together because their priorities are different. Like their priorities are, you know, integrity or their religion or something else. So yeah.
They have other common grounds. No, because I actually was talking to a few straight guy friends of mine, and one of the things that they've mentioned in New York is that, like, you know, when they've gone out with girls want to know, like, how they voted.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, and some of these guys don't want to even refrain from saying, let's say they did vote Republican, that, like, they feel like they want to lie about it because there's this stigma.
Right, but, you know, yeah, I think, you know, that's not a great question to ask just because there's a gray area.
Got it, okay.
You know, and you don't know that person. Are you going to judge that person on how they voted? When you really don't know their reasons why they voted that way, like if you learn their reasons why they voted a certain way.
So you feel like there's too much information out there, possibly.
Yeah, or it's too judgmental right away for that person. This could be the love of your life, perfect for you, except they're a Republican or a Democrat. This could be the person. I mean, if that's not a priority for you politically, I mean, like the political, then why would you judge someone on that? Get to know them and then see what they are like or how they voted and why. Then, so you can find their other qualities. Because I personally don't think that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican defines a person, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, exactly. I agree. I don't think that the way one votes necessarily, it's not, there are good people who vote a certain way.
Yeah,
you may just have differences of opinion.
Yeah.
But I have encountered people where that's a very important thing to them.
If it's a deal breaker, then that's fine.
And like you said, even being Jewish, like there are some people in the Jewish community that want to marry someone else who's Jewish, partially, I think, because I think the bloodline of the woman creates
that's right.
And you know, and
they want to continue the tradition.
The tradition, and it's important in their culture and so forth. How connected they are.
Right.
So, and then you did a play based on this, this 45 coffee dates.
45 coffee dates.
He pushes back the chair as he stands to greet me. Was he rising? Was he getting up to greet me? No, he'd already stood up. Oh God, please don't tell me that's it. Please just let him grow a few more inches. He said something, but I couldn't hear anything he was saying. All I knew is he was not 5'10". He had to be at least 8 or 9 inches shorter than my 5'8" stature. But wait a minute, I was wearing 2-inch heels. Okay. Do the math, Rachel, do the math. Without my heels, he might be 5'3", maybe 5'4".
Was so present in the process, because I remember you would like tell me about all these dates you were,
and
I would be like, oh my God, this girl's crazy. I was like, I don't know how she's meeting. Like I
said,
would not.
Carmella, you have to do this.
It felt more like a chore than anything else. I was like,
well, it is. Now listen, if you are,
because it has to be work to like set up all these.
Well, you know, but I learned how to do it really efficiently. You know, I met 3 people in 2 hours at Starbucks, and that's for 20 minutes. And
so what, like one would get up and then the other one come in and sit
yeah,
down?
well, that's what happened at the beginning. But then I realized, oh my gosh, they're overlapping and they're seeing me with this other person. So then I decided, oh, let me do different Starbucks that are 2 blocks apart.
Okay.
So like some of the dialogue from my show is, 50 minutes, 90 days, I didn't have the time or the energy, so I stacked my meetings 30 minutes each at adjacent Starbucks. Starbucks, there's one every 2 blocks. That way I could meet 3 men in 2 hours twice a week. That's 6 men in 7 days. It was a wonderful plan, and that's what I did because I was getting all made up and I was getting all excited, and then they wouldn't show up. Or one guy passed the window and saw me, did like what he saw, and kept going. I knew it was.
Oh my God.
Or sometimes you're not attracted, or something's not there.
Yeah, I mean,
and you don't want to waste time,
or it just doesn't click.
Have a coffee, and then that's it. And some of these books also talk about that, like the first time you meet is not. Everyone says, "Oh, I'm going on my first date with someone I've never met." To me, that's a meeting, like. Your first meeting, your second meeting, the second time you meet that person is your first date, really.
Okay.
So the first time is just a meeting, unless you've met the person before.
Yeah.
But if you haven't met them before, I don't know why people still call them like dates. I mean, because it's really, you're meeting them for the first time. You don't even know too much.
Feels like a
them.
lot of work, actually.
Well, it is. I mean, it's like a part-time job, actually.
And this was your sister's idea.
Well, she dared me.
Okay.
She dared me, and I rose to the occasion.
And you took her on that dare. You're like,
I
I'm going to try
I
this.
said, I'm going to do this. Why not? Let me just get out there. And people are too picky. I have to say, if I had met my husband online, I might not have gone out with him because like he does spelling errors all over the place, but he's a great person and he's just lazy in his writing. So I was like, I would have never, but when I met him, there was chemistry, and we had the same priorities. We've been married a long time. So.
And you just had a daughter that
turned 16. So this was a while ago. Yeah.
Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann's shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bags. And they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below.
But it happened, You remember, I know you're like, you're so crazy doing this. I'm like, yeah, I'm determined. You just kind of have to focus.
I remember you were like, I said you were trying to get me to, and I was like, there is no way I'm going to want to meet strangers.
Yeah. But if you do meet people in real life, of course, I just want to say this. You have to be safe. You don't have them walk home with you or walk you or get in a car or anything like that. I'm just like, I want to. You have to be very, very safe, and I would tell my friends like where I was, when I would be home or something. So if you do meet people live, you just have to.
But these apps are highly used.
I mean, people go out on the apps.
Today, they're
definitely.
like completely highly used. I was reading something about some of the best practices that people even go out of their way to take professional pictures for these apps. And one of the things that they were recommending was to use pictures of things you do in your like everyday life. Like if you like going fishing, to take a picture.
That's the third
fishing,
picture.
And like
that's the third picture.
If you have a hobby of something.
That's the third picture. In fact, I wanted an athletic guy.
Because the picture almost tells a story, too.
Yeah. But I lied on my pictures.
Okay.
A little.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted an athletic guy. So.
And your husband's athletic.
And he used to be a professional baseball player, yeah. I wanted an athletic guy. So I, took out the bicycle that I never ride. And like post with the bike like by the Hudson River or something, like one of the bike paths. But that's what I wanted to try. I mean, I'm athletic enough, but it's not like I ride my bike all the time. But that's another thing is to find to show your hobby. I wouldn't do animals on the first. I don't think I would do animals at all in pictures personally.
Why is that?
It just looks kind of weird, especially if your first picture is like of you with your cat or you with your dog. It just, I don't know.
But aren't you also like telling the person like I have a cat, like I'm an animal lover?
Yeah, maybe make it your third picture, but not like your first picture.
How many pictures do you think one should have on their profile?
I'd say 3 to 5.
Okay.
I would have definitely, I mean, you can have 2, but 3 to 5 is always good. I'd have your face first, smiling, straight on, no shadows, no sunglasses, no hats.
And like, what information would you put on a profile?
Well, I did.
How much information do you give out during, or should one give?
Well, I tell my clients not to, you know, you don't have to say, even if you are looking for a long-term relationship, even if that other person is looking for a long-term relationship, sometimes it scares people totally away.
Oh, I agree, yeah.
So I never put anything like that. And I would be careful with the words like love. I love to go skiing. I love, like, just kind of, because for some reason people associate, oh, this is like a love thing. I mean they just approach it very like pragmatically, and then I would have like keywords, because people do look up sometimes the keywords. You know, so if you do like to hike, where do you like to hike? If you like to go to the beach, what beach do you like to go to? Sometimes those words can match people up.
Got it, okay.
So,
I mean, I would assume you want to create like an authentic profile.
Definitely.
That really highlights parts of your personality
Definitely.
and interests. But also be keen of how much information you're really putting out there, because you said things can be taken out of context.
Right. Like sometimes people try to be really funny and show their sense of humor, but when you read it, it sounds like they're a jerk, or it's really sarcastic. So you have to be really careful kind of what you say. You can still have a lot of humor. Don't write too long of a profile. You know, don't write too much. Don't write too little. Just enough that they kind of know who you are, or what kind of lifestyle you have, where you are. And also, you can sometimes change your zip code. Like, if you're traveling, you can also, if you go somewhere for a few weeks or a month or something, then you can also put the zip code in of that place, so that you can meet people all the time, even if you're traveling. Because you never know, the love of your life might be in 3,000 miles away. You don't know.
True. I mean, I don't believe in like starting anything with someone long distance.
Well,
I
you never know. They can have a home in New York City. They can have another apartment.
I just think that that's also a sign of unavailability. One who's emotionally available. I've seen people get involved with people who they were available because they were distant.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
That's true.
So it's like a safety net.
Yeah. Well, they also had to kind of go slow because it's far away. You know what I mean? Which I think is good. That's another thing about dating. I think people go too fast.
So you believe the pace matters?
Definitely.
I'd agree with you there. Yeah.
I think, and that's where the old school dating or old fashioned dating. I think. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the long-lasting partnerships, not all of them, some of them are hot and heavy right away, but a lot of them start out slow. Like, I know a lot of women who said, that are happily married, and they've said things like, oh yeah, he liked me for so long, and I didn't like him, and then now I'm married to him, right? So it's that whole like going slow, not jumping into bed right away. That's what I find a lot of people do, both heterosexual and homosexual relationships. They sleep together and
way too soon.
Way too soon, like the first, second, or third date. And sometimes those relationships work out, but you don't really get to know anybody. And then, that person's thinking, wow, they slept with me right away. They must be a little slutty. And then you're thinking, wow, they slept with me right away. They must be, so you're not even thinking of that person correctly, Yeah, like you're judging that person.
I agree to an extent. I don't think that there's a hardcore rule, because I have some friends who did sleep with their partners right away and it worked out for them.
Right.
But I do think that, yes, there is that argument that, don't give the milk away too soon.
Right. Get to know them a little bit, or let them get to know you a little bit.
No, I agree. I think that a lot of people rush things way too fast.
Yeah.
And and it really allows, I think, an opportunity to just, get to know someone. And now, like, you've this period of your life became now like a career part of your life.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy giving dating advice?
I
and coaching?
do. And it's great because a lot of people have told me that it's been so super helpful. A lot of men have said to me, "Oh my gosh, you saved me so much money on fancy dinners." Because, like one of my clients, he was like, "I'm always spending like $300 on dinner for these," and one girl was married. She just wanted the free dinner.
Oh,
like,
God.
So, so yeah, I like giving the advice, and it's things I've learned, out there. I know how hard it is, and how lonely it can feel.
Well, I think for you too, you brought up that you want to have a kid.
Yeah.
And women do have a different timeline than men, of course.
Yes.
Women have a biological clock,
That's
which is,
right. That's right.
at some point it's like tick, 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 tick.
That's right.
Men don't have that same pressure. A lot of them.
Right.
So,
And I never said, "Oh, I want to have a baby. I want to get married." I never revealed that, even though that's what I wanted, And even if a man on a date, in my show, there's or in my book, it was in one of my previous shows. There's a gentleman who is asking me, do you want to get married? This is a first date. This is not even a date. It's our first meeting.
I don't know how I feel someone asking that.
This is our meeting at Starbucks. It's not even a date. It's the first time we met, which isn't
and
really.
And they're bringing up marriage on the first.
Yes, and they're like, "You do want children?" And da 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 da. And I was like, ah.
I mean, some people have the argument of put all your cards on the table so there's no misunderstanding.
No.
But sometimes I feel that's way too much, way too soon.
It's way too much too soon. And that's another thing that I find with my clients. They put it all out there.
Yeah, no, I believe in keep it light in the beginning.
Light.
Avoid certain topics.
Yeah, be fun and light, and like things I would do to just keep it kind of light. I wouldn't, and of course, unless it's a deal breaker, I didn't talk about politics or religion or
these heavy topics that can be very divisive sometimes.
We have enough heaviness.
Exactly.
Right
no,
now.
It's true. It's true. And that,
And so things to ask might be like, "Oh, what's your favorite music and why?"
Yeah.
I used to always ask, like, who are your top 5 genius musicians or bands in the last 50 years or 70 years or whatever, and why? Or just things that were, a lot of times people connect with some really, like, it seems like superficial stuff, but that's where they connect with music, or just even like the climate. I mean, I know how's the weather, that's so typical, but when people start talking about things like that, then you can kind of get to know someone, believe it or not, under that, without getting into this deep talk about my dysfunctional family, or, "Oh, you have a dysfunctional family? So do I."
well,
you grew up
like you said, some people do need coaching on how to.
Right. You don't want to go heavy for a while. You don't want to give that much information. Plus, when you do, you almost feel, and they don't call you back, or you don't see them again, then you feel like you feel almost not violated, but you feel like betrayed almost, because I revealed all this stuff about myself to you, because I connected so much with you, and now this person doesn't want to see me again, and I only met them once or twice, so you have to be careful with that too. Just have a good time when you meet the person, and talk about things that are just kind of light,
Yeah, or show up authentically. So
yes.
I think that's the ideal situation.
Definitely.
It's not, putting on any facades.
No, you can definitely be genuine in yourself. You just don't want to give away too much about yourself right away. Let them
Well,
learn.
I think it's no different than meeting a friend or a new acquaintance that over time you really get to know someone. It's not going to happen
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to meet.
You want them to ask. You want them, if you're interested in them, you want them to ask you out again to get to know you better, and for you to get get to know them better. I mean,
I have a rule too, which I believe in. Listen to the other person. Someone said to me, "You're going to find out about someone all in 3 dates if you just listen." Some people do all the talking instead of listening, and I find that it's being an active listener is important. Or because. Yeah, I find that some people just want to do all the freaking talking. And they're not listening really. And a wise woman told me that once, which is, if you listen to someone for like the first 3 times, they're going to tell you all about themselves without you having to.
Yes, that's very good.
Huh?
That's totally, that's what
and I mean, seeing whether or not your values go in line, interests. I'm thinking of people I dated, and the best ones were they were very light and fluffy in the beginning, nothing too crazy. And there was a good flow of pace. There wasn't like any rules, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, it's good to listen, but it's also good if they ask some questions about you, because I've had some people where like the guy or the girl just went on and never asked about me. So it's good to listen, but it's also good to say something if they ask about, when they ask about you, or to. But you're right.
So do you think certain things are very personal to ask right away, like that one should avoid, or it's like an open playing field?
Yeah, I wouldn't ask personal questions that are like, oh, well, tell me about your family. You don't need to know, or what happened with your what happened with your divorce. Things like this. You don't want to go there, right?
No,
the first
I agree.
Couple of meetings.
And somebody may not want to do it on their timeline, not be prepared that you're like
right. And if they ask you those kind of questions that are a little bit uncomfortable, just say, I don't feel like talking about that right now, and then just change the subject, because I know when I went on these meetings, like I had men saying, do you want to get married? Do you want children? Would you be a good mother? Like bombarding me. And, of course, inside I was thinking, yes, I do want to get married. Yes, I do want to have a baby. Yes, I'm going to be a great mother, or I think I'm going to be a great mother. And
no, it is scary. I mean, I went out with a guy.
But you can't say that. I would just say, oh, I haven't really thought that much about that.
I agree. I had a guy who I went out with, and I remember, like, the first time he's, like, telling me already, like, he wants to get married, do this, and it's like, I was a little scared. I was like, this is too much too soon. Like, I don't even know you, dude. Like, you're just putting it all out there.
I know.
And,
And it's a kind of a turn off. They want to get to know you slowly. They want to get to know past those things, deeper than those things.
Yeah,
actually.
a little too much too soon.
Yeah.
There is kind of this about keeping it light and taking your time to kind of get to know someone. And it's also more rational too. Mm-hmm. It's not an irrational type of. And like you said, dating in New York is difficult, especially for women. And women do have a different timeline than men.
They do. If they want to have a child.
If they want to have a child, exactly. And it's also, like I said, it was great experiencing this part of your life with you, and then watching it in a play was like very deja vu for me, because every time something came up, I was like, oh my God, I remember that. Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah. And
I kept trying to get you to go with me.
I did. I was actually at your wedding.
Let's do the numbers. Let's get out there.
Yeah, I never was into that. Some of my friends were like, oh, you should do dating. I was like, I just feel like it's so forced. And like, I did try it once or twice. I didn't like it.
Right. Well, it is forced. I mean, dating apps and the whole online thing. But I met my husband in real life.
No, there have been successful.
I dated 3 guys, though, from online in the apps and stuff. I dated 3 guys that were contenders, that were nice. And I think it helped me just get out there. I think vibrationally, or like spiritually, or mentally, emotionally, you're putting yourself out there, and then sometimes something will come from a different direction that you're not expecting, which is what happened to me. But I think you have to kind of put that energy out there.
What advice would you give to a woman today if she's, let's say, reaching that peak where she does want to have a kid, and her biological clock is ticking, what would be your advice if someone wanted to start these dating apps? Would you suggest to do 45 coffee dates?
Yeah, I would say
Or would
I would
you-
say you have to be on more than one app.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, Bumble's okay, but I kind of believe that the man should pursue the woman instead of the woman pursuing
you're
the
old
man.
school. Okay.
I'm old school. I'm totally old school. I'm totally about the man should court the woman and, like, you know, bring her flowers on that second or third date, or, you know, walk her to her door, as long as it's safe, whatever. And if they're not sure they're going to get married, if they definitely want a baby, I would say freeze your eggs. No, seriously, like
Really?
freeze your eggs. What if you're like 30 and you think, oh, I'll get married in the next 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
5 years, and you don't? Or a lot of women are workaholics too. They're
No, absolutely.
And they like with me, it hit me at my late 30s. Oh my gosh, I want to have a baby. And I do want to get married. I mean, I never really thought about it until I hit that age. And then I was like, I better. That's what, triggered me.
Your priorities changed a
My
bit.
priorities totally changed.
And I like the fact that you mentioned, which I think is important in this conversation, is your ideas of what an ideal person looked like with the way they looked or what kind of job they held, versus turning that into a different type of dialogue, which is more about the quality of the person.
Exactly.
Some of the things you talked about, having integrity, having authenticity and all that, because I feel like those are like more standards that people need to create.
Yeah, and people need to know, it's so, with the apps, it's like swipe left, swipe left. That person, if you think, wow, there's something that person's interesting, but gosh, they really didn't write a very good profile. They didn't really write well.
Okay.
I would meet them anyway.
So you would go out with them anyway?
Yeah. Safely, or have a conversation with them, like a real, verbal conversation, like a conversation, not a written conversation. Because sometimes men and women, they just don't take good pictures, or they're not writing as well as their personality. It's not they're not. You really have to get.
I mean, what do you
converse with
think
the
of the
person.
idea of recommending, like, having someone else look at your bio? Because not everyone's objective about themselves either.
Definitely. I mean, I've looked at a lot of bios. People can ask me for advice
Yeah,
if they want,
'cause-
because I've looked at so many bios, and
I mean, yeah.
like, for instance, I had a client, and she was like, why do I get all these men that want me to take care of them? In her profile, she was like, oh, I would like to, I like to help people, and, I think that I'm there for someone. Like, her profile was just too giving almost. And then she was getting all these men that just wanted, like, a mommy figure. And she's like, why am I getting, I'm like, well, look at look at what you wrote. So you have to be a little careful. You have to figure out what you're writing and how it's coming across.
Yeah. And you've written the play Confessions of a Straight Guy. Is that it?
True Confessions of the
True
Straight
Straight.
Man. Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of your plays are almost around dating on some level.
Yeah.
And then they were stripped,
Yeah.
which is also, were all of them parts of your life in different ways?
Yeah. I mean, well, 45 Coffee Dates was my true life story about me trying to meet a man and have a baby, which I did. And then True Confessions of the Straight Man was loosely based on Hell's Kitchen in the 90s. It's a farce. It's really funny. And how I actually thought this guy, because he was so great, I thought, oh, he's got to be gay, because he was just he was beautiful, he was nice, he was fun. I'm like, oh, you got to be gay. And he wasn't gay, but he kind of went along with me because he thought that he would mess it up if I thought he was straight, which, it was like this whole thing. So I turned that into kind of a farce. I took that premise. And then Stripped is a show, like years ago. I was a waitress in a strip club, and I wrote about all these people that worked in that environment, but that was like a long time ago. It
I
was
mean,
like a Playboy bunny club, the kind of.
And you brought that because I saw that. I'm not gonna say the year, but a long time ago. I think it was at the Pyramid Club.
Yeah.
I actually went on a date to see your show.
Yeah.
And then you brought it up again, and you actually played a male role.
I did.
As a drag king.
How you doing?
Exactly.
My name's Vinny Goldstein. How you doing?
So on some level, you've done drag as well. And, and one of the things I loved about that show is you're a little over the top. Always.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the comedy part of you that wants to go high.
Yeah. Always high on. On the guy.
Yeah, but
Caricature. Kind of.
Very caricature.
Mm-hmm.
Also, well done. I think it was here in Hell's Kitchen. You brought it up again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. At a nightclub by Birdland. Yeah.
And you produce a lot of your own plays.
I do. I've produced a lot of stuff. Mainly my own things right now, but I'm looking for, more producers to come in with me on certain shows.
Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bag. And they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below. So if people want to find you,
AntoniaKasper.com, AntoniaKasper.com, and my show, they can follow me on Instagram. It's called 45 Coffee Dates, the number 45 Coffee Dates. They can follow me. And I also have a production company, A Kasper Productions. They can follow me on Instagram for my other shows if they want.
Is there any shows coming up that people...
I may be doing True Confessions of the Straight Man for Gay Pride in June in New York City.
And there's some gay characters, I think, in that.
Oh, yeah. There's a drag queen.
Okay, yeah. Oh.
A part for you. Hello.
Maybe we'll see.
It's a good part. It's the best part. It's probably the best part I've ever written, actually.
Okay, I'll have to read the script. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's so always, it's great having you, especially, we've known each other a really long time.
I hope I gave everybody some good advice.
I think you did. I think, take it slow, keep it
light, be in a few apps, don't get discouraged.
Yes.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Don't take it personally.
Ask your friends if they know people, go in other circles, be safe. Those are the highlights.
Yeah, and good luck with this new business coaching.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Like you said, it's putting yourself out there on some level. And thank you again for coming on.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it. It was so good seeing you.
Yes. And thank you, everyone, for listening to In the Can with Carmella Cann Deluxe. I hope you learned a few things about some dating apps if you're interested in going online. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next podcast.